Sydney Shaw looks back at the time when she first fell in love with hip-hop. It was an eye-opening moment for her and an important part of her childhood. She watches some breakdancing that rivals the Australian breakdancer at the Olympics. Sydney met the young Dre Ellis, and their meeting soon developed into a strong bond. Years after that first meeting, Sydney now works as an editor, and Dre as part of a music label. Sydney's cousin Francine doesn't understand why Sydney doesn't want to date, but Sydney only has eyes for her best friend, although she never really admits it. She can't help but roll her eyes when Dre finally introduces his new girlfriend Reese. They hit it off really quickly, and Sydney tries her best to get along with Reese. Let's be real though, Dre is a fine-ass man, so I'd be jealous. Dre shows Sydney the engagement ring and says that he plans to settle down because he finally found the one. Sydney knows how often Dre jumps from one relationship to another, so she warns him not to rush into marrying Reese. But Dre is convinced he's doing the right thing, so Sydney congratulates him and wishes him the best. Then Dre finally pops the big question, and Reese says yes, but your girl looking disappointed AF. Soon after, Francine starts bugging Sydney, asking if she ever thought about hooking up with Dre. But Sydney thinks their friendship is too special and that romantic relationships are too messy and will only ruin their special bond. Fuck that. Ruin that special bond because I just know Dre would ruin me in special ways. Francine teases Sydney about her massager. I wouldn't be touching that knowing it went in Sydney's queef Latifah. Reese only invites Sydney to her engagement party because she's Dre's best friend. Even though they don't share the same circle of friends, Sydney decides to show up. They play a trivia game about Dre, and Miss Thang over here doesn't know how to read a room as she answers all the questions correctly. All the other girls giving her the bombastic side eye. They get to opening Sydney's gift and find a thong with a zipper. But Sydney gets confused because Francine was the one who chose it. When Sydney finally finds the time to get Dre alone, she asks why he thinks Reese is the one. Dre explains that Reese is his brown sugar, wife material, classy but not a snob, sexy but not a flirt. The right amount of everything. They overhear eating hot dogs, but Sydney the one wanting Dre's hot dog. Dre admits that he hates dining with Reese because she always wants fine dining. Since they're already out, Dre takes Sydney with him on a work assignment to sign on a new artist. After Cav's performance, Dre is sure that he's exactly the type of artist he's looking for. He approaches Cav, introducing himself as a representative of Millennium Records, looking for new artists to sign. Though Dre is confident, Cav is quick to reject the offer, saying that Millennium is not ready for what he's doing and the music he's producing. He promises to call Dre if he ever changes his mind. Just after Cav walks away, hip-hop duo Ren and Ten approach Dre and start talking about their music and their plans for their upcoming album. These two clown-ass looking like Oreos that went bad on a summer day. One of them looking like Malibu's Most Wanted. To Dre's surprise, the duo reveals they just signed with Millennium Records. The next day, Dre confronts Simon about signing Ren and Ten. He knows that Cav is the one making real music, and the two just look like a joke. But Simon thinks that the duo will bring in the money they're expecting, comparing the duo to Eminem and Michael Jackson. Dre shows up in Sydney's house ranting about how he chickened out when confronting Simon. All he wanted was to make music, but now he keeps making compromises to keep his job and even engage in shady business. Sydney sympathizes with her best friend, acknowledging that they must do whatever it takes for the bag. Dre reveals he wants to quit and make new plans for himself, but every time he's so close to doing that, he starts thinking about the money, the suits, and all the perks the job brings. Though it's just a towel separating her from Dre, Sydney still gives him a tight hug. The close proximity must have gotten the best of their self-control because Sydney makes the first move and kisses Dre, something he doesn't seem to mind. Just as Dre starts to remove the towel, Sydney snaps back to reality and tells him they should part ways. Just before Dre leaves, Sydney asks him if he's sure he wants to get married the next day, and Dre says he's sure he wants to do it. Oh, the way I felt the heat through the screen. My coochie is steaming, y'all. On the wedding day, Francine clocks Sydney's ass for making a move on Dre. Francine keeps telling her cousin to speak up before it's too late, but Sydney refuses and she stays seated, even stopping Latifah to STFU. The priest finally makes the union official. Wanting to get her mind off of Dre's, Sydney focuses on her work alone. One day, a famous athlete named Kelby Dawson specifically requests that Sydney conduct the interview with him. It just so happens that Dre and Reese are at the same restaurant, and Kelby is quick to pick up the awkward glances between Dre and Sydney. It's been some time since they last saw each other, so Sydney asks about the honeymoon, and Dre shares that it was great. To his disappointment, Malibu's Most Wanted approached the table, and he has no choice but to introduce them. Sydney tries to hold her laughter, knowing how much Dre hates the duo. Kelby thinks that Dre is Sidney's ex, but she's quick to correct him, saying that Dre is her best friend. During a recording session, Dre can no longer stand Ren and Ten's music. They sing their song called "The Hoe Is Mine." He decides he can't fake it no more. Despite Simon trying to make him stay, Dre has already made up his mind to quit his job. As soon as he gets out of the building, he hops into a cab, planning to see Sidney. To his surprise, Cav is the one driving. Oh, how serendipitous. Only happens in movies. Cav reveals that he's trying to stay out of trouble, so he focuses on working when he's not making music. Dre shares that he finally left the company and that he's tired of making music he doesn't believe in. Cav respects that, and he supports Dre's decision to go solo. When Dre arrives at Sidney's house, he's surprised to find that Kelby has sent Sidney a lot of flowers. He tells Sidney he quit his job to create music that doesn't come from a poser. Though he's nervous about his decision, hearing Sidney support him clears any remaining doubts he has. He reveals he plans on starting his own record label where he signs amazing artists and makes them his partners in creating good music. Even though he plans on using whatever remains in his savings, Sidney still writes him a check so he can use the funds for his company. She reminds Dre that she will always support him no matter what. Oh, so he could have gotten a sugar mama all this time and settled for Reese's Pieces. Sidney reveals she got a date with Kelby, and Dre gets jelly. When Dre goes home, he tells Reese that he quit his job and now plans to start his own company. Reese is shocked and immediately questions why he made that decision. She is disappointed that Dre didn't consult her first before quitting. Dre insists that he did what he felt was right for him and that Sidney thinks he'd be successful in his new company. All he wants is for his wife to support him and not try to talk him out of it. Reese is annoyed that Dre told Sidney first about his plans, but she still apologizes for arguing with her husband. She promises to support Dre's decision. Meanwhile, Sidney is surprised that Kelby has exerted so much effort for their date, and he even cooked the food himself to impress her. So after dinner, Sidney decides to spend the night with him. Worried about Sidney going out with the famous athlete, Dre calls her and asks about the date. When he finds out that Kelby cooked for Sidney, he convinces her that Kelby is only playing her. But Sidney been in heat since she tired of her massager, so she disregards Dre's warning and ends the call. That night, they both agree to tend to the extreme heat they feel inside. Knowing that Cav is the real deal, Dre doesn't want to let him go and insists on signing him as the first artist on his newfound company, the Brown Sugar label. But Cav is not going to make things easy for him, and he even makes Dre clean the backseat of his cab. Meanwhile, though they initially got along just fine, Reese finally starts to hate Sidney. Reese is no longer demure and mindful during their sparring session. Sidney tries to play it cool at first, but realizes she can't hold her anger anymore, so she also confronts Reese. She admits that she loves Dre, but only as a friend. Reese bitter AF, and things get uncomfy for everyone in the gym. Sidney tries to focus on her relationship with Kelby, and Dre tries to find the sparks he used to have with his wife. He knows something's changed, but none of them wants to address the problem. During their year-end celebration, Dre thanks everyone who has supported his new label, and he doesn't forget to acknowledge his marriage to his beautiful wife. After the toast, Kelby decides it's the right time to propose to Sidney. Boy, this is awkward AF. Sidney is ecstatic, and she says yes to her boyfriend in front of all their friends. Dre looks disappointed, of course. Later, Dre asks Sidney if she's sure about Kelby, noting that they've only known each other for a few months. Sidney reminds him that it's the same thing between him and Reese, yet he also married her without any doubts. Sidney tells Dre to stop worrying about her life and instead focus on his marriage. When he asks about what she meant by that, Sidney reveals that she's seen Reese a couple of times at the gym, flirting with different men. Oh, your girl is messy. But Dre needed to hear the truth about his trifling hoe wife. Dre tries to act cool, saying that he's okay with his wife flirting. In the middle of their argument, Sidney clarifies that she doesn't spend her time thinking about Dre and that she's completely happy with her man who loves her. To stop their argument from escalating, the two decide to hug it out and end the conversation. Not far from where they stand, their partners are both watching them, telling each other how Sidney and Dre are just good friends. During one of Kelby's games, Sidney finds out that he hasn't read a single thing she wrote. She's very disappointed, but Kelby promises to read every single article she ever made just to make it up to her. Does homeboy even read, though? Later, while spending time with Sidney, Dre realizes that he has switched his phone with his wife's. He then finds out that she's going on a date with a man at a restaurant, so he decides to show up with Sidney just to make fun of the situation. He walks in on his wife, who is all touchy with another man. He keeps on making jokes, laughing, before finally revealing to the guy that the woman he's dating is his wife. Then Dre announces right then and there that he's going to get a divorce. Sidney tries to calm him down, but it's useless. When they return to Sidney's apartment, they both sense that something has shifted between them. The hormones only get stronger when Dre reveals he has read all of Sidney's works because it makes him feel like she is near. Sidney walks away from Dre, knowing that anything can happen if she stays close to him. But Dre doesn't hold back anymore and starts flirting. He tries getting her to confess she's feeling something for him. And before any confession can be made, they both change their professions and become expert mattress testers. It's very classic that Sidney only starts feeling bad once the deed is done. She thinks they shouldn't have done what they did, so she tells Dre that she needs space. Because of his failing marriage and his fallout with Sidney, Dre spends all his time getting Cav into the limelight. He's convinced that he's the real deal, so he gives his all to get Cav's music and name out there. When he's given the chance to get reviewed, Dre is overjoyed when he finds out it's Sidney who's going to do it. However, Sidney insists she can't make the review. She explains that there's going to be conflict because she gave money to Dre to start his own label. She is also disappointed that Dre didn't respect her wish when she asked for space. Dre tries to seduce Sidney, but she knows her hormones are too strong and leaves. Even though Sidney tries giving her attention to Kelby, Kelby knows that her heart is somewhere else. One night, he confronts her and asks how long she's going to play with his feelings. Although Sidney admits he loves Kelby, she confesses she doesn't love him as much as she loves Dre. Then she takes off her engagement ring and hands it to Kelby. Meanwhile, Dre meets up with Reese to talk about their divorce. Reese has a change of heart after talking to a divorce lawyer. She knows they never did anything to work out their problems, so she asks Dre if they can give their relationship another shot. But Dre doesn't want to get back with her again after her hoeing ass. Still, for old time's sake, they spend the night together as good friends. When Sidney sees the two hugging and laughing, she thinks that they got back together, and all the chances of her getting with Dre just goes down the drain. Sometime after that, Sidney goes on to promote the release of her new book. Dre quickly grabs a copy and reads it to show his support, although they don't talk anymore. While waiting for Cav's music to be played on the radio, Dre hears Sidney doing an interview. He calls and asks Sidney about the first time she fell in love with hip-hop. Sidney then reveals that she fell in love with Dre the very first time they met. She's completely unaware that Dre is already on his way to meet her. He also confesses his love for her on air before finally asking her out on a date. This time, Sidney doesn't turn him away. Oh girl, the way this movie moved me and made me act all giddy. What did y'all think of this one, and did you watch it when it was released in theaters? The amount of eye candy and talent in this movie is astounding.
Subscribe to watch more videos like this. Turn on notifications. And leave a like, it really helps the channel out. Thank you for watching.